Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. It's Dermot Kelly and William O'Leary once again, and this is part two. So, if you haven't watched part one, I suggest that you get on our YouTube channel and check it out and see what you think, because you need to listen to part one to get a bit of background for what we're about to discuss. So, okay, so the first thing we'd like to talk about is the experience that William had in hospital. Is that right, William?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Now, I want to prefix that by saying all the stories that I've told so far about me and my experiences are nothing to do with my ego making myself look good, okay? These are all just foundation. I'm just laying a foundation so people will know where I'm coming from, that I walk the walk and I talk the talk. I do both. One proves the other. So people get an idea that I'm just not some airy-fairy body out there. These are
Yeah.
actual experiences, and that's what I build on. Nothing to do with ego. As soon as I go into ego, but if I do go into ego, then I have no use to anybody. So I have to be very careful with the ego and stay out of it. So I tell these stories as a base foundation, so people understand where I'm coming from, and I'm just building a narrative.
And is that part of the A Course of Miracles as well as the Law of One that you have studied?
How do you mean? Is that part of it?
The fact that you're talking about coming from ego.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's look in the Law of One and also the Course in Miracles. You don't have to know these books line by line, verse by verse. You just get into the spirit of things. Just get the spirit and of what it's trying to convey. And when you understand that and take it on board, then one thing will just follow after the other. They just come automatically. But the one I'll have to explain this also. Once you understand these two, your life will change.
Yeah.
Try to understand it. When you live your life according to the spirit of these two books and what they're trying to convey, your thinking will change completely. Uh, for instance, uh, I, I'm a big Liverpool supporter. Okay, just give you an instance. As you know, we won't mention Manchester United. There you go. Oh, lately, I'm not a bit interested. I look
Yeah.
at it, if they lose, okay. If they win, that's okay. The one thing I cannot look at is a boxing match. What I'm looking at in a boxing match, where one person is trying to hurt the other person and maybe trying to knock him out,
Yeah.
that I can't stick. What I see is one person hitting himself. One person is actually trying to hurt himself. And I'm going, what are they doing? What are they doing? Don't they understand what it is that one person is trying to hurt himself when he sees the other person is him. There is only one of us here. Where we go one,
Yeah.
we go on. All for one for all.
And that might be part of your Libran star sign.
Yes, that could have a lot to do. That could have a lot to do. But I mean, I can't sit down and watch a soccer match anymore. The enjoyment is not there. I don't see what's
Mm.
the point of it. A rugby match is the same. When I see a tackle in a rugby match and I see a heavy tackle, I try and keep my eye on the guy who's out and tackle to make sure he's all right. Will he get up? Will he get up? Even though the ball has gone away, I'm trying to figure out, is this guy okay? And when I see him getting up, continuing, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. If I can't,
You know,
someone get hurt. I can't stand that.
it's funny you should say that because for years, I'm like everybody else. I love my football, um, and even my Aussie rules. But at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to mean as much to me anymore.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I've still got the competitive nature, but I think as you become more aware of of your being, your spiritual being,
Mhm.
and the letting go of ego, it tends to just drift away, and you are concerned about everyone concerned,
Yeah, absolutely.
and in all facets of life, not just in competitive sport. So,
Yeah,
but I think we'll talk about the ego a bit down the
yeah,
track
yeah,
because
absolutely. Yeah,
we were going to focus on the hospital
yeah, we'll do that now. Yeah,
particular, yeah.
yeah. So how that came about was short few years ago, about 4 years ago now. I had to go to the hospital and for some tests, and apparently they found something wrong with my gallbladder. I mean, I never suffered with my gallbladder before. I never suffered with anything before. So went into the hospital, done all the tests, couldn't find anything wrong. So they used to give me some painkillers every now and again. And, yeah, okay, everything was fine. I was just lying there in bed. And suddenly during the middle of the night, there was a big rush. They rushed in, grabbed a hold of me, dumped me on the, on the stretcher, and wheeled me into the operating theatre. Okay? So I was lying there and they were trying to put all these pins and whatever into me. And they did whatever they needed to do. So I woke up below the ICU and the nurse, I could see, I looked down, there was the nurse was adjusting something. And I said, where am I? Oh, you're in the ICU and the operation went well. I said, okay. So she said, do you want some tablets for pain? I said, I'm not in any pain. And she looked at me, you sure? Yeah, perfect, don't need tablets. Oh yeah, she did what she needed to do and buggered off. So the next day, same thing again, coming over. It was wired up for sound machines all over the place. And I was quite lucid. No pain. Kept offering me tablets. I don't want tablets. Don't want tablets.
Yeah.
So the second night, I was lying up in bed and I noticed that there was in the bed opposite me, there was an elderly guy. And suddenly all the doctors came in from everywhere and started checking on me. And there was a lot of head shaking and and sometime after that, all the family showed up, and the guy was lying there in the bed, and there was a lot of crying, and so I was looking, and I called one of the members of the family over. He was just passing my bed, and I called him. I said, "Look, he's okay. He won't be going in. He'll be fine." And he looked down at me as if to say, "Poor old chap. He must be a delusional like that. He's high on the tablets or there's something." You know, he said, "Oh yeah, thank you very much," and he left. So I was sitting up, and I started sending him chap in the bed. Never knew his name. Some healing. And after a few minutes, he suddenly started waking up. And all the family, were looking. He just started up the bed and started chatting to everybody. And everybody was delighted. And the doctors around it were looking at the machines, and all the machines were quite normal. And I saw this guy sitting up and chatting to his family. I mean, it was the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. Tears just started running down my face. And there was a Filipino nurse attending to the guy, and she kind of looked over and she saw me sitting up and tears running down my face. And she came over to me and she, "Are you all right?" And I said, "I'm fine." I said, "That's the most wonderful thing I've ever seen." I said, "I sent him some healing." And I said, "Look at him, he's fine." And she bent down to my ear and she said, "Doctor," they think they know everything. You know, she just
Yeah.
off the top of my head. She understood. So he was taken out. He was shifted to a normal ward afterwards for discharge. But I never didn't see him anymore. I didn't see him anymore. So
So the obvious question, William, is how did you know straight away when you told the family member that he was going to be okay?
that's an excellent
Ah,
question, isn't it?
it is.
Because I just knew it. Why? Because I said so.
Intuitively?
Intuitively, and because I said so.
Right.
Because I said so has a big bearing on it. This is why I need to be careful about things that I do say. Things
Yeah.
have a habit of turning up and happening. I can do other things as well on the subject, getting away from the hospital. I can do things with the weather. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Oh, I think you have.
Am I all right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For instance, again, this is nothing to do with ego.
Mm.
This is just building the narrative again. I was out looking at the stars, and beautiful night. I looked up, looking at the stars, and then I looked over towards the horizon, and there was this massive bank of clouds. I mean, it was thick, dark clouds coming up from the horizon, coming up. And I said, well, bugger this, I'm not having this. So I just said, stay as you are, don't come any further. That bank never moved for 20 minutes. It stayed in the same position, maybe for half an hour until I was finished. And then when I finished looking up, okay, come on now. And it did. It stayed. Another time, I wanted to see the stars, and there was clouds everywhere, thick clouds again. And I said, bugger this, I'm not having this. So what I did was I cut a mighty big, huge hole, circular hole in the cloud. It was completely circular, so I could look up and I could see the stars. You know, it must be about a mile wide, looking up. And I said, I wonder will anybody come and investigate how a big hole suddenly appeared in the clouds? It was a massive circular, like someone got a saw and cut around it, you know. I said, I wonder will anybody take notice what just happened? And no sooner were the words out of my mouth than the ship passed right over the middle of the hole. That's complete. And I watched it coming over and I watched it disappearing. As soon as I said it, the ship appeared, passed right over the center. So I
Now,
was impressed with that one. Yeah.
well, okay. Now, there are people out there that either partially believe or don't believe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they would say, that's just coincidence. But of course, you and I both know that there is
Yeah.
no such thing as coincidence.
Mhm.
It's all meant to happen, and it does happen
Yeah.
at the right time.
And you believe it happens. And belief is a big thing when you understand it. And that's how you realize how powerful you actually are.
It's a leap of faith.
It is a massive. And I used to think, and I'm sure a lot of other people think the same, that you only take one leap of faith in your life. Oh no. Oh no. You take lots of leaps of faith. There's lots of them
Yes.
there. So,
And you don't have to be religious to actually have a leap of faith.
but I'm not religious.
No, I'm saying to the people out there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I still look. I was speaking to a bloke. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. Now I became a member of what is known as the men's shed.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you heard of the men's shed?
Yes, my dad used to be in the men's shed in his local area.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we have that here as well, a local one, and I go to that. Used to go to it from time to time, and everybody is in there scratching their head, because I'd be giving out all this information, and I said, I could tell you more if you want. No, we don't want to know. I remember that mistake. We don't want to, we don't want to, don't tell us. Because they know I would.
Yeah.
So I got a lift in the car one day from one of the blokes. And he says to me, William, he says, when I told him that I'm not, he knew I wasn't religious. He says, do you believe in God? I started laughing at him. Let me put it this way. You could say that me and people like me are God's answer to humanity, that he hasn't forgotten about you. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And he accepted that answer.
Yeah.
So that is very true. That is true. And I keep putting it up there. He always sends his angels. God always sends his angels.
Now, is there any other incidences like you said, the hole in the clouds, and seeing a UFO? Is there anything else you want to touch on there before we go into the next part?
Well, unless you want to move into the UFO field or not.
Interesting.
Well, I have seen lots and lots and lots of UFOs. I mean, it would be well up in hundreds.
Yeah.
Um,
Are there any
no,
significant ones?
oh yes. Last year was it? Was it last year? September last year? Yeah, around September last year, or the year before. Time has gone on here. Um, I looked out the doors. We had kind of a glass sliding door, and I looked out, and I noticed there was a ship stopped not too far away. You see it quite plain, about a mile away. It was there for about a half an hour, well, 25 minutes to stay there.
Yeah.
At plain view. And I was looking at it, and now there was a chap who had come to do some work, and he was doing some measuring and writing down on the paper at a table which was quite close to the door. And I said, "Do you want to see UFO?" He said, "No." And all he had to do was turn his head.
Yeah.
He was turning his head like that and look out. He'd see it.
Wow.
No, kept writing. No. Prior to that, maybe 2 or 3 months before that, there was another one showed up. That didn't stay. That didn't stay as long as it stayed maybe 5 or 6 minutes. But it was 3 of them showed up at 3 different times, usually in the same spot. And I remember I said that not too long ago, and the person I said it to said, "Well, did you tune in? Did you find out what they were?" Now, to me,
Mm.
that's the last thing you do. That is one of the last things you do. Because as soon as you start tuning in, you open a link.
You do. Yeah.
You open up a link. And not
Yeah.
everybody is good
Ready
at it.
for it.
You need to be very, very careful. You just don't jump in feet first. You can end
Yeah.
up with that. So I was looking at it. And it was obviously observing me. I didn't do anything. I was just looking at it, waiting to see what that was going to do. It started doing some flips like that. I was watching, but I didn't make any contact. I made no contact with any of it. So I was doing some research on tuning into these vessels, and I discovered that just as well I didn't do anything because they were not too friendly,
Yeah.
not a bit friendly. They didn't have my best intentions in heart to us.
And
You can't
again,
caution anybody.
you felt that intuitively.
Yeah, no, I asked upstairs, my head
Yeah.
office, call head office, what were they all about? And but I have to ask questions. This is important. You need to ask the question before they're free to answer, because they know that, about free will. and interfering with free will. And I'm well aware of that situation myself. They cannot interfere with a person's free will, which brings me on to something that's now how am I going to approach this one? Because a lot of people's tails might get up and the hackles might get up a little bit. People, I need to be very careful. When people start saying, talking about Jesus,
Yeah.
who I call Yeshua. To me, he's Yeshua. He's never Jesus. He's always Yeshua. And they're saying, and I heard them say, Jesus Christ, our Savior. We're waiting for us. And he's going to come and go and save us. He's my Savior. Well, I got news. Jesus is not going to come. Or Yeshua. No, he's not going to come.
Yeah.
If he was going to come and kind of take out the dark side, the deep state, the why I refer to as the deep state of darkness, or the deep state of evil, if you want to call it, and he was going to come now and do that would be against our free will. If he was going to do that, it would have been much easier for him to do it when he was here the last time. So why didn't he do it back then? Because of the first law. First law of free will. It's divine law.
Yeah.
It's divine law. It's the law of the universe. It's the first law. Do not interfere with free will. This is why he came here and had to operate within the laws that are applied to this planet. Cannot break the law of free will. That's why he came in as incarnated as a person. You still have to observe the law. You had to operate within the law. How many times have you heard Trump say that? We must do things within the law. So almost everybody else.
I've often been, and it kind of relates to what you're saying. I've known people in the past that have been very religious, but they still like to explore other areas, and they've often said, if there's an all-loving God, why do they allow so much suffering on earth? Well, you've just answered that question, haven't you?
Yes.
Because, and again, like I said in the first video about soul contracts, I mean, we do come here with soul contracts to learn lessons, and part of that is having free will to learn those lessons.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, some of us, and again, I get asked this question: why would you want to incarnate as a baby only to be killed within the first year? What do you learn from that? And I say, well, it's not the baby that's learning. The baby is teaching the lessons to the people it leaves behind. And they're the ones that need to learn the lesson of letting go of a loved one. And it can be at both ends of the spectrum, not just a baby. So, and then how can someone like, in history, like Hitler, for example, how can he pay for all his sins? Well, he taught a lot of people how to fight oppression, and that sort of thing. So people learn not what to do. I'm getting tongue-tied now, but you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going with it, don't you?
Yeah. I take out your misery there. Yeah, I do know. But, so, and when people, Jesus is not going to come down and suddenly wipe everything out. It's not going to happen. Sorry.
No.
It's not going to happen. Get used to it. It's not going to happen. He will break all the laws.
Correct.
He will break all the laws. And he is here to uphold the law.
Yes.
But this is why I am here in the body. I have to observe the same law as everybody else.
Yes.
Okay.
Would
So
this be a good Would this be a good time to introduce the letter, or do you want to finish
yeah,
off what you're saying?
no, it's yeah, good time to bring in the letter. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very good
because
time.
because at the time when you received the letter, you didn't realise why you got the letter. But it's only in hindsight that you've now realised,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
something's
yeah,
not right here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the letter arrived from America. Okay. It was registered. And what's this about? Registered letter, USA. What the hell is this? I opened it up, took it out, and there was a stamp return envelope. And okay, and then there was a letter, and I opened the letter up, 2 pages. For the on the second page, third page, I realized the third page was the contract. So I read the letter, and I was being offered billions, absolute millions. And if I somehow or other got through all that million, there was more there if I wanted. I would be introduced to all the big movers and shakers on the planet. I could live anywhere I wanted, in any type of house I wanted. I could have anything I wanted. Think about it. I was offered everything.
Yeah,
All I had to do was sign the contract. Stick it in the envelope and put the envelope into post. That was all I had to do. So
just
anyway,
like that.
just like that. Just like that. So, I mean, at the time, I wasn't known anywhere. My address wasn't out there anywhere. Nobody. Nobody knew where I lived, except the locals around the place, obviously, but people abroad, how did they get my name?
Yeah,
How did they get my name? My full address? Where where did they get this from? They couldn't have got it from nowhere. And yet there it was. I mean, the effort that it took to put all this stuff together and post it, register. I mean, it cost a couple of dollars, a few dollars, to do all of that. No, sorry, they did ask me to put in $5 with the contract.
so they offer you millions for $5.
But see, the $5,
Yeah,
it was the money that it was that $5 that kind of triggered something in me. You know,
yeah,
$5 sealing contract. It is an
yeah.
exchange of energy. Contract could not be broken once I included that. That was the clincher. There's no more getting out of it. The only thing that I would be required to do once I received the money was to attend meetings anywhere in the world. By the way, they call themselves the Club of Illumination, the Club of Illuminati, one of the two.
How coincidental.
So I mean, I say, why
Yeah.
am I there? Why did they offer me all this money? I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of money. I lost my business. My business
Mm.
was gone up this money. Didn't even have a flaming car. Oh, I said, what's all this about? I got done with the money. Sure could do it now, but hey, I'm quite happy. I don't have a
Yeah.
car. I nearly lost my house. I lost everything, completely flat broke. No, I'm quite happy. So I threw the letter into the fire. And now I have to say now, Dermot, and I got to be honest.
Yes.
I did think about
Of course you would. You wouldn't be human if you didn't.
it. No, don't go there, right?
Okay.
Well, I was doing a lot of humming and hawing for a few
Of
days.
course. Yeah.
$5 and they're offering me all this money. They, $5. That's a clinch it. I don't like the sound of it. I said, there's something not right here. How did they find me? I said, what is so special about me that they offer me all of this money? Anyway, I destroyed the letter. A few weeks afterwards, I received the second one. The wording had changed slightly. The intent was still there. Signed the contract, included 5. And again, I said, no, I didn't say, I just burned it. Got it. I did show it to my wife. And another head, oh, forget it. So, yeah. And again, I was amazed that why would he offer me all of this? And all I had to do was attend their meetings anywhere they were around the world. I could have anything. If I wanted my own plane, I would ask for that.
So you didn't have an online presence at the time?
No, absolutely not. No, I did not. I wasn't even on Facebook. Facebook.
Yeah.
I wasn't even on Facebook.
Yeah.
No.
Well, okay, let's try from a different angle. Were there people in the town that were a part of these secret societies that were keeping an eye on you, perhaps? That maybe you didn't know back then?
Actually, it's funny now, Mr. Kelly, you should say that. Because it was only yesterday. It was only yesterday. I was
How
thinking back.
coincidental.
And I remember when I used to have my own business, I was invited into this. I got a call to come down to this. Actually, it was a brewery. No,
Oh,
I know. And they wanted some work done in the brewery.
yeah.
So I go down and I look at the job and I put in the bid. And the guy I was speaking to was taking an awful lot of interest. And the next thing I knew, I was asked to visit his house. So would you come up to my house and come to dinner, and bring your wife? So I said, okay, thanks very much. So he lived out the country. I went out, went into his house. They took me upstairs, show his collection of all these little model cars, and he had the room was shelved, full of shelving, lighted shelving with all these cars on it. And they started talking about Freemasonry. And he invited me out a second time. Again, this one back to Freemason. He was well up. I never asked him how high up, because I had no interest in joining Freemason. I was aware of them, but I had no interest in joining. There's 2 or 3 times he brought up Freemasonry over the period.
Okay, so we were talking about your visit or coincidence when you were invited to dinner more than once. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's I wasn't biting, put it that way,
Yeah.
and he seemed to lose interest. But that's what happened there. But it's only when you said it to me now and realized I was only thinking about it yesterday. This was a strange time. And over my lifetime, I've had lots of jobs, lots of different jobs.
Yeah.
But I noticed that the jobs would never go on longer than 2 years, maybe a few months over the 2 years. And I would find myself looking for another job. Every 2.5 years or thereabouts, I would find myself going to another job. And I got curious after a while. I said, oh, I noticed not all of the jobs only last this length of time. No matter how good they were, how well paid, I would find myself being moved on. So I realized that this has all got to do because I don't come here incarnate all that often. I was getting in as much experience in the time that I am here as I possibly can. I've experienced lots and lots of different jobs.
Right.
My main job is engineering, and I worked in a lot of pharmaceutical companies. And I worked far abroad as Singapore in the pharmaceutical company, setting up their plants and signing off on their plants. And I come back to that another time because I want to talk about work. And I want to clear something up about work. Okay. So anyway,
Yeah.
I had all these different jobs. But one job I really liked was I decided to become a truck driver. No, why not?
Interesting.
So as I wanted to travel around Europe.
Yeah.
And the way to do that was to become a truck driver. It was an 18-wheeler, an Arctic. Couldn't find anything smaller. So I used to drive the Arctic up over the Alps and into Italy. I was all over Europe. But I used to go
Yeah.
to Italy quite a bit. And I made friends with a certain family. Let me say, a very, very, very well-known family. I won't say the name, because the name is instantly recognized. I became very,
Okay.
very good friends with them. Okay?
Hmm.
Now, the guy I was most friendly with, well, he more or less my Italian brother. You know, their family is that close to me. So he says, "Come on, William, we go for a spin, we go for a drive." We drove up the mountains and came to this big house, right? Big walled house. We drove in, got out, walked around the back of the house. It was full of people. We were all sitting around, we were all chatting. No, mainly men. I think about it, they were all men. And they were from the upper echelons of Italy, let me put it that way. They were all well-to-do, very, very well-to-do.
Yeah.
And these people had really, really huge influence. And they were sitting down, discussing everything. When I came in and I sat down, at the beginning, everybody was speaking in Italian. But because I arrived with this person, everybody switched over to English.
Well, that's courteous of them.
But I could still, my Italian at the time wasn't too bad. I picked up quite a bit of Italian. And I was able to follow the conversation that they were saying. But because I was a stranger, Italian was my language, they switched over to English. And they were still continuing to talk among themselves. You know, everybody was speaking. But it's who they were kind of impressed with, because I was looking at all of them. And they were all in the multimillionaire bracket. But I was accepted completely and totally.
So, okay, how do I connect why you mentioned that with where we were?
With the letter.
Is that with the letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because how would a truck driver meet
Exactly.
exactly? You know, it's like
Exactly.
what we met in a cafe or a bar somewhere.
No,
Yeah,
this was in a house, a big, big house.
yeah.
Everybody was sitting outside in all these chairs around and tables, and they were just speaking with each other. Well,
So you were invited.
yeah, I was brought there.
So again, we'll ask the question: did you buy it?
No, no, actually,
No.
I, I didn't know the reason behind it. I didn't put any ulterior
Yeah,
motive behind it because of the person that brought me. Because I'm very, very, still very, very friendly with it. I'll go
yeah.
back there as soon as all this mess is finished, and we can travel again. I'll go back. So we're very, very close. I'm very, very close to that family. Yeah, it's only when I'm putting all these things together. And I was sitting, here I was, as far as they were concerned, I was just a truck driver. They didn't even not really ask what was the right one. I don't even think they knew. I was just accepted. I wasn't
So it
questioned
did.
about it. I wasn't questioned. I was just accepted.
So so it didn't matter what station you had in life. There was something else that either they were interested in or wanted to connect with you in some way. Is that correct?
I suppose you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. It was a strange situation. I was there and I'm saying, what am I doing? Why did, I don't want to mention his name.
Yeah.
Why did he bring me up? So what's going on here? As far as they're concerned, I'm just a truck driver. And
Yeah.
I'm just a truck driver. And here they were all people of money and affluence and all that. Well, again, everything was there. But the one thing about it was that in the harvest, my friend, he also owns a vineyard, and he has he grows hazelnuts as well. He has
Yeah.
a big piece of land, and it was coming time for harvest, and he had everything prepared for the harvest. And in the evening, I was with him, and he was looking. My friend was looking at TV. He was watching the weather forecast, and I was watching it. And the guy says, "And tomorrow we'll have rain. Rain's coming in from the sea, and we're going to have lots of rain." And my friend put his hand up to his head and said, "Oh no, no, don't want rain. Don't want rain. The harvest would be ruined." And I said, and it didn't.
I missed that bit.
He says, I said to him, "It's okay. It won't happen.
Ah.
It'll be good. It'll be fine." And so it was. The next night, watching the television again, same thing. I said, "It won't matter." I said, "It won't rain until you have the harvest finished." And it didn't.
Now there's a reoccurring theme here. Am I putting two and two together?
Didn't think you could add 2 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 and 2.
Two and two.
22. Interesting number. That's my number. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Okay. Yeah, a reoccurring theme of intuitively that things will be okay and you can influence.
Mm.
Some people will say it's coincidence, but how many times do you need a coincidence to actually believe and have a leap of faith?
There's no such thing as coincidence. Now, I
Correct.
can do the same thing with rain, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm out for a walk and I see the rain is coming in. I put her off. I just said, "Don't need it. Go wait until I get home." And so it will.
Have you got the opposite? If we're in drought, can you make it rain?
Well, we don't have a whole lot of sunshine there, and I'm buggered if I'm going to try that.
Uh, because here in Australia we do have a fair bit of drought.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I got a friend called Caroline Flynn. She's one of my dearest friends here in Cork. And she taught me quite a bit. She is excellent. And I met her one day in town for a coffee. And at the end, as we were leaving, it started peeing down, rain. She said, "Oh, I got to go." I said, "Hang on a minute. I got to go. So I'll stay here." So she ran and left me standing there, right? So I said, "I'll give it a couple of minutes." Sure enough, rain stopped. And I was speaking to Caroline afterwards. She says, so I told her, "Did you get home okay?" She said, "Oh, yes." I did. "Did you get wet?" "Yeah." "Did you?" So I know. And then she, "Oh, don't tell me you stopped." So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my life. But the one thing again, A is what I say will happen, is going to happen, will happen.
Yeah.
Even words. If I say a word that's not even in the dictionary, I make up a word in my head, which I did one time. And the next day, this is not even in the dictionary now, right? It's something I made up. I picked up the paper, and the very next day, they opened it up, the big headlines, this high, big banner headlines. There was the word. Right across the page. Boom.
So there you go,
Yes,
eh?
I'm just a normal person. I'm just a normal person.
Of course you are.
Of course I am, yeah.
But you're not out of this world, are you? That
Hey, come on,
uh,
man.
well, I can assure you, many people think I'm out of this world, and I have given them that impression many times over the years, and maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Who knows? Well, I do know,
Yeah.
but that's for them to work out.
You and I were involved in it. I think it was a Skype discussion one time. Do you remember that? And I forget who else was on it.
Many.
I forget who else was on it. And it was either you said or somebody else says, "But we're all human here." Remember that? And I said, "I'm not." And the
Of
other person got very upset. What do you mean you're not? Of course
course you're human,
you are.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm not. But that was a few years back. If you remember that, do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, we had many sessions, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember
And
that
and
particular one. I said, no, I'm not
yeah. Now we're getting a bit off track.
sure.
Um
Yeah.
so we need to get back to this letter
Oh, yeah.
and how these people contacted you, why they contacted you. Um oh, the question has gone out of my head. Um
Post it and we'll see.
okay, so you're in Italy, and it doesn't matter whether you're a truck driver or whatever. You've been invited to this meeting, and you've been taken in. You've been taken in like a family member or
Mm,
friend or
mm.
a long lost brother or whatever. Did that strike you as rather strange?
It did cross my mind every now and again because when I used to arrive in Italy, I was treated like royalty. I would go where nobody else was allowed. I would walk straight into their house. I mean, their house, and I won't give people's name, had
No.
um, armed police people around them, fully armed, security.
Do you know what just crossed my mind when you said that? What was the owners or the managers of the trucking company? Would they have been in contact with this family? Because they would probably have mentioned this particular truck driver is going to come to here and deliver this, that, and the other, and that sort of thing. Did that cross your mind?
You're very much on the ball, Mr. Kelly.
Am I?
See, the people in question, or the company in question, had an operation here in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I went to work for that corporation here, driving this truck.
So
And
there was communication, obviously.
oh yeah, yeah. And one day, one of the members of that family wanted to go up was here in Cork and wanted to go back to Italy.
Yeah.
And I was asked, oh, he asked me, forget now who asked me, would I mind taking him back, giving him a lift,
Yeah.
rather than have him going to the airport and blah blah blah. So I said, no problem. So that's
I've
how
got I've got someone to talk to.
exactly. So we
Yeah.
got on. We got on famous. We got on famous, and that's how things started.
Yeah.
And I would have access to all here.
So
There's
that
no
ties it all.
there's no
Sorry.
door there was no door closed to me. when the wife and the mother, the matriarch, died, I was the only stranger allowed into the second row of mourners behind the house.
Yeah.
Everybody else in there, and it was an almighty, huge, huge funeral. I was right there.
Yeah.
I was included. But and that family means a whole lot.
So for critical thinkers like me that may be watching this video, that would tie it all in. Which brings me back to the letter.
Oh, yeah.
What crossed your mind when you got the letter? I mean, did you ever question why me?
Hmm.
How obviously you asked the question, how did they get hold of me?
Yeah. Hmm.
But did you ask the question, why me? Why me in particular?
At the time I did, obviously.
Yeah.
At the time I did. But now I understand completely. Because I wasn't aware of actually my own background or where I came from at the time.
So you are now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So, where do we go from here? Okay. um, Interesting. There's so many things I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to go too in depth. So, um,
Each thing I
where?
spoken about there, I could speak on that in one section for hours alone. Even
Yes, I know.
the Yeshua part, I could speak on that for hours.
Actually, let's get back to Yeshua because everyone is expecting either the second coming or a spaceship to arrive and all this sort of thing. What's your take on that?
I've spoken about it. He's not going to come down and save everybody. He's
Yeah,
going to appear out. No, he's not. He ain't doing that, folks. It's against the law. And if you see, or if everyone sees spaceships suddenly turning up out of the blue, interacting with people, he ain't the good guys, folks. He ain't the good guys. Be very, very careful. He ain't the good guys. And if that's what they have planned, and they will show up and they'll say, we're the good guys, we're here to come here to save you. They're not.
I know. I know I'm going to go a little bit off subject here, but as you are aware, on December 21st, we had a what do you call it? World meditation towards Uluru,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
which is Ayers Rock, and it was a very spiritual ceremony, and a lot of people were asking, what's this black box and everything else. Well, you see, it wasn't a black box. The black box was a metaphoric term for Ayers Rock, or Uluru as we know it here in
Hmm.
Australia. So, and it was turned on by the ceremony, and because we got 15 to 20 million people worldwide tuned in and directing positive energy towards Uluru. And it was a significant event, and we have touched on this before, where um, the elders here had said a long time ago there was 3% going to ascend, and after Uluru they said it's possible that 10%. But because things are ever changing, we're actually heading closer to 30%, which is what you predicted a few years back privately. But now it is out there publicly. So, and like I mentioned to you, we didn't save humanity as such. What we did do, we saved the birds, the insects, the plant life, because you can't blame them for what's happened on the planet. The only people that are responsible is mankind.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that have destroyed this planet and destroyed one another. And so we're the ones that have to suffer in one way, shape, or another. Now, before the ceremony, it's interesting to note that um, the elders had banned walking on the rock, which was a common pastime for tourists. And no sooner did they ban the walking on the rock, there was a cloud came over Uluru and just stayed above it. Now this ties in with what you were saying earlier about the clouds parting. Well, here we are in the middle of the outback where there's no rain and no clouds, and all of a sudden there's a cloud and it's hovering over Uluru,
Oh yeah.
and it's raining. And it was very significant because whatever it was, it washed away the negative energy that the tourists or the locals here in Australia had given the rock by treading on it. And then it just disappeared. Now, the elders and the locals would say that the cloud was actually a cloaked ship, a Pleiadian ship. Interesting to note, it was cleansing the rock. How do we know that it was a ship? Do we know for sure? Well, I don't, but that's what's been said. So I have a leap of faith that someone knows what they're talking about, but at the same time, I am a critical thinker, so I will put it to one side for later to verify later, because I also believe in trying to get as much information about everything
Mm-hmm.
so that you can make an informed decision, because it's not wise to just say, oh, no, it's this. No, it's that, because that is ego. And
Yeah.
if we're all one,
Which we
we
are.
know we know it to be true. We just have to work out what perspective we're looking at before we can put it all together.
What were there any other clouds around at that time, Dermot?
No.
Mm.
Now, at the ceremony, how's this? My good friends Stephen and Evan Strong were there, and they noticed. Now, I'm obviously in a different state and many thousands of kilometres or miles away, but the clouds in the sky that particular night were grey. Okay? And here we have like a blue, and it was a beautiful blue. And in that blue was like a flash. And it was at that precise moment that everyone knew that the rock had received the positive energy. And we also got confirmation from Croatia where they had a pillar of light appeared out of nowhere and led to a blue light. So very significant. So the spirituality or the positive energy from the meditation of people actually helped the planet and the Schumann resonance. Now, why did I go on that tangent? I have no idea. I'm a
We
bit
talked
like
about
you.
clouds, yeah. And the actually, it helped me to recall something that on the 7th of February, and it was after 12 o'clock at night, and I was speaking with my family upstairs, and I could I suddenly got all of this energy, this feeling of euphoria. And they said to me, we've won, we've done it. And I could
Yeah.
feel the energy. And I was dancing and dancing. And we done it, we done it, we done it. Something huge took place, had just taken place. And I looked at the clock. And what were the numbers?
122.
1, 2, 2, 2. Very, very significant to me. Very. These numbers are always confirmation to me. I even took a picture of it. And I never took a picture of a time before. But I said, oh, 1, 2, 2, 2. I took a picture. But the amount of 1, 2, 2, 2s I have gotten since is absolutely enormous. But getting back to the 7th of February, something huge happened around that time. Didn't know what it was, but I could feel the energy coming in. I could feel their excitement and their joy, their happiness of what had happened. They didn't tell me what happened, but I didn't ask. I don't think they would have told me anyway. But yeah, I could feel it.
Correct.
Now,
And a lot of people have.
So I don't know what that was about, but they were absolutely delighted. And I said, at the end of this, I says, we'll have a party. And yes, she says to me, we'll have a hoolie. I mean,
Now, can you explain to people that aren't in Ireland what a hoolie is? Because I know, but can you explain to them?
well, a hoolie is where you have music going and there's a lot of merriment and dancing and they're going around the place, all of the Jews, It's a big party. It's a big get together, big celebration. It's called a hoolie. It's not a word that I would normally use, but they would use a word, something that I would not normally use, as always a confirmation. I said, okay,
So it was a
that
knees up Mother Brown.
a knees up Mother Brown, yeah.
Yeah, not a Mrs. Brown, but yeah, a knees up Mother's Brown.
Yeah, but that was what he says. Is that when we get together, we'll have a hoolie. And that was his way of also saying, it's true, it's true. I do get a lot. I do get a lot of confirmation.
Did you hit the microphone?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Sorry, Mike. Yeah. I always get a little confirmation of stuff, and I know it's true. I get a little confirmation. They do something to me, and I'm then aware of yeah, that's true.
Well, a few years ago, I actually recorded a couple of my dreams, and very similar. I felt I was in the astral, and I was celebrating too. So I didn't know what at the time, but I'd been to one, two, maybe three celebrations. And I'd also been on special missions in the astral as well. And just for those people that are on the borderline of what's astral travel and what's dreaming. Dreaming to me is like viewing as a spectator watching the TV. You're not participating, but you know what's going on and you can see it. Astral traveling is more a case of you're playing an active role. Like if you put one foot in front of the other, you can physically do it and you can see it. You can taste, you can smell, you can control your movements. So yes, it's
I give you another instance there. Sorry, Dermot. That happened
that's
on
fine.
the 12th of June or the 12th of July, last year. Something else happened, and I was there for one. It was I call it a proclamation.
Yeah.
Where the light forces have taken over the earth, physically taken over the earth. No more darkness will come in. I've actually put it up on my Facebook account.
Yes, I think I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, but all control that the darkness thought they had imaginary doubts, although they did exercise an awful lot of control, was removed, was reclaimed.
Yeah.
And I was there and I participated in it. So I know what went on, and the earth was reclaimed for the light. Now, the bastards are still in here, all my French are still in here, and they're going to, and at the time when I wrote that piece, back in June last year, I said there will be an awful lot of upheaval. There will be a lot of fear generated, especially among the elderly. There will be an awful lot of fear. And I said, that's just the threshing about of a dying animal. I said,
Yes.
there will be that going on. That was last year. So watch out. I said, the earth has been reclaimed, but it got very, very little response. And I did put up, I used to post a lot of stuff about the law of one, with an awful lot of information. Right. And I would watch the response. I would put them up so I can see what the response is.
Yeah.
The response.
So maybe the timing wasn't right. I've often thought, in more recent times that more and more people are switching on now, but they still don't have the full perspective of what's actually gone on. So it's taking a long time for those people to catch up.
Yeah.
And we're just having to be very, very patient, I guess.
Yeah, we have
But
to be
when
very
you
patient.
but when you say the light forces are here, that to me conjures up another question, because have the light forces reincarnated on this planet to help the planet, or are they from outside of our dimension and are coming here to help humanity, or is it a bit of both?
It's actually a bit of both. Those outside can't interfere
Correct.
here with stuff. But those who are in here, who came from outside, incarnated here, can do stuff that cannot do outside, can be done
Correct.
inside.
And they can exercise free will here,
Yes,
incarnate. Yes,
yes. Yeah.
that's correct. And I guess I don't know if we've mentioned this before. I think we may have touched on it before, but I don't know if it was a private conversation or whether
I
it was
know.
video one. But
That's the
that's what
problem,
it's
isn't it?
like.
Yeah.
That's what it's like with us too, isn't it? Um, we talk that many times we forget what day was it. But yeah, just touching on that. Oh God, that's right. I believe I incarnated here when I heard the reverberation throughout the universe, and they were asking for volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because whoever they were, the spiritual beings that were looking after or guiding spirits out in the universe, were saying the kids have lit the matches. And guess what that was referring to?
Yeah,
Hiroshima.
yeah. Nagasaki.
And that's when I came in, not in 1947, but I
45.
came in
45.
at
Thanks for the extra
40.
2 years, yeah.
Was it 45? Was it?
Most certainly was, sir. September saw 45.
Well, there you go. See,
And I
you
came in
learn something
October.
every day.
I came in October 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I
So,
shaved 2 years off your age.
and thank you for that, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Sarah.
No, people, I've noticed it quite a lot lately, that people are suddenly speaking a lot about God. And I've noticed that. And I always kind of smiled to myself and said, don't you realize yet
Yeah.
that all their prayers have actually been answered? God, who's my Father, has always answered prayers. We're here. We're in.
We're already here.
We're already here. The divine intervention is here. They don't realize it. They keep thinking about we need the divine intervention. We need Jesus Christ to come down and save us. No, we're already here. We're inside the tent.
And it just came to me then that last time the biblical Jesus was on the planet, we were asked to love thy neighbour and have a leap of faith.
Yes,
And
said that.
as a human race, what did we do? We paid no attention and acted like naughty little schoolboys and beat the living daylights out of each other.
And we murdered him to boot. Well, we didn't murder him. The deep state, which were operating at the time, still operating now, they murdered.
Correct. Yeah.
So do you think, no, just a minute, do you think that he went through all of that and then come down this time and scatter everybody and do away with all the deep state? Wouldn't he have saved himself an awful lot of pain and an awful lot of agony and an awful lot of aggro for everybody if he'd done it the last time?
Correct.
You know, so why are they expecting him to do it this time? It's not allowed. Full stop.
Look, he created a lot of miracles, or so they say, turning water into wine.
I didn't learn that trick yet.
But I can turn wine into water.
Very quick.
Oh dear.
He did say these things and more you can also do, only greater.
Correct.
And that is very true. This is what humans can do. And
sorry, Mike.
Yeah, if we say to that mountain, move, it will move. That is a strong belief. And it will move.
So he had the power last time, but he was here to teach us a lesson and we didn't pay attention.
We paid attention to the wrong end. All the attention was focused on the messenger.
Yeah.
Not the message. This is why I know where you're going, and I don't want the attention to focus on me. I want people to focus on what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what I'm telling you. There's going to be no second coming, but there was no first coming. He incarnated, just like I am incarnated. He is my brother. He is from the order of Melchizedek, as were his family. And there are 4 Melchizedeks on the planet just now, of the order of Melchizedek. There are 4.
Now, can you explain what that word is? Because I can't pronounce it.
That is the name of the order who were given control by the, I don't know, the originals, let me say that would be the controlling originals who are based off world, based out in space in another planet. You have different orders controlling certain places. The order of Melchizedek is given control of this planet.
Right.
Yeshua was a member of that order, so were his family. There are 4 Melchizedeks on the planet, as I said. There's one in Egypt, there's one in Russia, there's one in the west coast of America, and there's one here. There's 4. So they were the original controllers. They control all the gates, if you want to put it that way. Gates coming into this planet. They were given custody of that.
So now that we've touched on that, is it possible that when you got the letter, that the people that sent the letter knew who you were?
It's very possible, but they may not have been known who I am, but they're aware of any bright sparks that come in, any bright lights that come down. They can track these down. You may not,
Yeah.
not necessarily know who they are, but they know
Yeah.
that there is someone after coming in and they're located in such a place. Not necessarily know who they actually are. So if they knew who I actually was, they might have been paying me a lot more attention. But
Yeah.
when I refused that letter, by the way, when I refused to have anything to do with it, I never wrote back. I never done anything. Just burned the letters, and I said, "That's that." So I thought. Not long afterwards, I can't remember how long now. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I went to move, and I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I realized I couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I could not breathe, and I was there trying to breathe. I couldn't do so. It was only at the last second that I was finally able to get some breath. The instant I would do anything, either move my head or a shoulder, or try to turn over, bang, it would happen again. And it would last a long time. It would last a complete breath. It would take me 10 to 15 minutes to actually get out of bed. I would get this bout of, I don't know what you call it, not being able
Yeah.
to breathe. And when I eventually was able to stand up, get on my feet, after going through all the bouts, many bouts of this, I would be bending over, trying to catch my breath. You know? That went on for 2 to 3 weeks throughout the day. Went to the doctor, and I was trying to explain. I actually got a bout of it in his office, and he couldn't figure out head or tail of what was going on.
Yeah.
But I was reminded that it must be very something similar. These people who get this, and they're brought into hospital and they're put on ventilators because they can't breathe. I understand what that's about. I understand that they just can't breathe, so to give them oxygen.
Yeah.
What I went through is looking at the symptoms and hearing about it. They're very close to what happened to me. I went on for 2 or 3
So,
weeks.
so do you think there was outside interference there, or was
Yeah,
it just a condition? Oh, you
no,
do.
absolutely outside. But I didn't know it at the time. Looking
Correct.
back
Yeah.
now, I said, "Whoa!" I mean, they were really after me, as I told them.
So, if that's the case, obviously you've got a message to give to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by going public now, that's
Yeah,
basically that's basically giving them
yeah, I know where you go
hello.
with that one. Yeah, yeah, I'm very well aware of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, do we leave that for another discussion?
I, I'm not too sure. I don't want people is thinking, "Oh,
Yeah.
he's not divulged everything." I can't divulge everything right now. I've told you what
Correct.
about Yeshua, and people are saying, "Oh, well, wait, he's going to save us." No, he's not.
No, he's
And
not.
I've
Yeah.
even had people say, "I believe in every word of the Bible." Really? Get a grip on yourself. I could take you to the
Well,
first couple of pages of the Bible and show you all the lies there already.
well, it's not just that, William. I mean, in the 1600s they took 16 books out of the Bible, so it's not even the full version. So
It's just a bloody book.
it's just a book.
It's a bloody
Exactly.
book. The amount of times blood is written in that book is unbelievable.
Well,
It's
there you
got
go.
everything. It's got everything in there. It's got war, incest, rape, murder, treachery, butchery.
But but having said all this, for those that are religious, we're not having a go at you in
No,
particular
absolutely not.
because
Absolutely not.
because what William and I do is we have intuition. We also um, think critically, and we look from all perspectives. And we do talk to many people around the world about their experiences too. So to say that there's one thing and one thing only, in my opinion, is very narrow-minded. You have to broaden the horizon to see the whole picture. And every individual on this planet, and we've heard this saying before, but I won't go into who said it, but I've often thought it myself, is that we all have one piece of the puzzle,
Hmm.
and the pieces come together, and the bigger picture is seen once we all come together as one. So,
Yeah. Who I am, by the way. I won't say who I am right now,
correct.
but I have been mentioned in the Bible, in the Torah, and in the um,
Quran,
Quran. The Quran. I'm known as the messenger, and that's what I'm bringing is the message.
the message,
Jizz.
messages. So
Yeah,
don't. So for those that are listening, don't focus on the messenger.
yeah,
Focus on the message,
yes, by all means.
which is why we were talking about Jesus the way we did.
Yeah, it's I'm divulged the information there about Yeshua, and he ain't coming. He ain't, he may come as his true self, but not come down here to blow all the demons away or the deep state away. That's not going to happen.
I think humans are doing that themselves anyway. I think in the bigger picture, we have to fix our own mess and have a leap of faith that we do that.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and by doing that, we allow the free will of the conglomeration of people to clear the planet. The planet has already, the human resonance has gone up. The spirituality has gone through the rock, the heart center of the world, not just Australia. And this is another subject altogether. I mean, if I talk about what Stephen and Evan uh, and their evidence shows, and Michael Tellinger, they have some great um, information and documentation on just how important communication through the stones is. And we can go into the first language, the original people, and so on. But that's for another day. So I think we should wrap this up for video 2 for now,
Hmm.
and maybe catch up and work out what we're going to do in video 3. So stay tuned, folks.
It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. If only you knew how hard it was to get this one out.
Wow.
But we
Oh,
did it.
we hope.
We got there. Got there.
Okay. It's been nice, Dermot.
No worries.
We'll talk again
It's
soon.
all. It's always a pleasure. And
Enlightenment. Yeah,
all right.
I will divulge more next time. I know people are
Not a
fed up of
problem.
me here, of me saying that, but I do have to build it up. So people
We
understand.
have to build the story. Yeah, absolutely. So that they can get a picture of what's going on. Okay.
Okay, Dermot.
Well, we'll catch you again, people. Goodbye from him, and
And that's
goodbye from me.
I don't get a word in. Okay. Bye bye.